All right, everybody, thanks for joining us here on another episode of the Digital Trade Show podcast. Very, very excited to be with Billy Parra from Select Merchant Solutions.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
How are you doing?
Very good. Very good today.
We're here at the Profitable Dentist Conference live in Orlando, Florida, and very excited to have you come on and share all the great things that you're doing for dental practices. I know we've spent some time before, and
yes, sir.
And it's always good to have you back.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Really do appreciate it a lot. Thank you.
So let's tell everybody a little bit about your story, and which I love because I think it ties right into what you do and why you do what you do. But just talk a little bit about that.
For 20 years, I owned a restaurant here in Florida, and it was a restaurant bar. Did pretty darn well, and ran a lot of credit cards through there. And I always thought I was doing quite well. I started with my bank, and then I started with a friend that says, I can get you a better rate. And he did get me a better rate, but now that I'm doing what I do, I noticed it could have been a much better rate from the beginning.
Right.
Keep it constant.
Right.
And not get greedy as far as, the processor side of it, try to make too much money off a client.
Sure. So that kind of led you to where you are now and what you're doing and things like that?
Yeah, that's what led me. I did that for 20 years, sold it, and then a friend of mine wanted to expand the business that he had with the credit cards. He said, let's try to get into other verticals. They started in self-storage facilities like public storage, extra space.
Right.
They've done very, very well in that space. They own about 10% of that market. So I was brought on to expand the verticals. We don't do the type of thing where you shotgun out and cold call and try to get as much business as you can.
Right.
We focus on specific verticals. It's only dental, veterinary, optometry, and self-storage.
Gotcha.
We accept other businesses, obviously, but we don't hunt it down.
Sure.
So now that we've gotten into dentistry, we started with the big trade shows where you kind of get lost in the mix. And now I think things like this are much better. It's a much more focused way to do business.
Sure.
And we work a lot with consultants now that just call us and we do seminars with them. So it's a more qualified audience, and we look more qualified, and it gets rid of the adversarial tone of having to deal with merchant processors.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I think we talked about this on an earlier podcast, which is the work that you do is so important. Because in a busy dental practice, it can get lost, a lot of these little things. And it's not that they don't want to pay attention to it, but like you've shared with me before, there are a lot of other companies out there that if they don't take the time to educate, and you're a busy dental owner and things like that, I mean, you can miss things. It's just natural. Very
natural. There's hard costs in the business.
Yeah.
And the hard costs take out from the revenue pie, take out so much out of it. So if you can control some of them, especially credit cards, because you have to take credit cards.
Yeah.
You have to take them.
Yep.
If you can lower that percentage that's by a half a percentage point over a year in a $1 million practice, that's a lot of money.
Right.
And what happens a lot is that dentists and new business owners usually go with their bank. Their bank says, I'll do your credit cards for you. And the thing is that they get them in at a low rate, and all of a sudden they start raising rates on these people, tie them into contracts, and all of a sudden they're looking like, wait, I thought I was at 1.7, now I'm at 2.6%. How did that happen?
Right.
It's just raising rates and just doing it the wrong way.
Sure.
Which is not what we do.
Right.
We bring people in at a rate above cost, never raise that rate, no contract, or contract that can be canceled at any time without fees or penalties, free equipment. And we like to say, come for the price, stay for the service, because we do our own 24/7 customer service.
Right. So you talked about the machine, or some of the value-added things that you do on the service side. Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, most companies that do what we do, they hire commission salespeople that need to find out how am I going to make more money off this client other than the processing, increasing the rates on them. So what they usually do is they'll lease or rent terminals. And the terminal for our cost is $185, $150. I've seen these horror stories where people are paying $49 a month for 4 years for something that's worth $150.
Right.
So our way of looking at things, we don't make much money off each customer. We'll give you the equipment for free. Just send it back if you ever do leave us. Give you the equipment for free. And why waste money or add an extra expense to that client? That's not necessary.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about, Billy, a couple practices that you've had. Just, you know how it is. There's no better feeling than when you go in, practice is interested in your service, you get them set up, they call you a week later, month later, 3 months later, and they're like, this is, one of the best things I ever did. Maybe share a story or two about something.
Well, it
practice
was
that you
one of the
with.
most interesting times that I ever had was a client. We were at a show, and I was talking to some prospective clients, And an orthodontist walked by and said, "You're going to rip us off just like everybody else." And I said, "Let me prove you right." In other words, it was sort of a positive challenge of saying, let's show you. So now that they're with me, they have 3 practices. They tell everybody about how much I saved them. And the savings, when I first showed them the analysis, 51% on their fees. Yeah. And they said, "This is impossible. There's no way this is going to happen, blah, blah, blah." I said, "Just give us a try. If I lied to you, you can always cancel. It's not going to cost you anything."
Right.
And now they're beyond thrilled. They refer a lot of people to me.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And we like to say, one of our main sayings is, save thousands of dollars a year to your practice without any added cost.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you try to take a look at it?
Exactly. And do you find, Billy, that just over the years, a lot of dental practices, because you get busy, you just end up going with maybe I think the bank example is interesting because I was thinking of my own situation with my own company where if I go and I set up a different account or a business account and it never fails, that very next question is, do you want to use our merchant services? I mean, it's just kind of like, it's the checklist.
It's a checklist thing. And a lot of businesses think that they have to because they loan me money.
Right.
Or they're helping me finance. I have to do the processing.
Sure.
You do not have to do the processing. Yeah. The thing with the bank's in there to make money.
Sure.
So they may give you a little percentage lower on one side of it, but they're going to try to make it up on the other.
Right.
And I've seen stories where I saw a statement from 2 years ago of a dental practice with their bank, and then I compare it to the statement now, and I said, you know what, they raised your rates. You were at that same thing, 1.7%.
Right.
That's where you're going to be. They're at 2.6.
Yeah.
That's a huge number in a $2 million practice.
Absolutely.
Huge number.
Yeah, adds up. What do you see that, what are some things that practices do, just from your experience, like, I guess a better way to ask it is, some educational tips that you like to give? Like, in other words, if they were getting ready to go down the path of looking for a company, what are some good questions that you would have them ask?
I would ask them definitely. One of the favorite things I do when I speak in front of groups, I'll say, act like a 5-year-old when you ask your questions. So why are you going to charge me for a machine? Right. Why is this fee added on here that you didn't talk about earlier? Right. Challenge them and say, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And the best thing I always say is the teaser rate is the thing that really gets me. Some process will bring you in, you're going to be at this rate. And all of a sudden, the rates start going up and up and up. What I tell people, even if I don't earn your business, talk to them and say, my contract has to be cancelable at any time without fees or penalties, and you have to guarantee that rate above cost or that rate will never go up.
Sure.
And if you do that, and I do that a lot, I mean, even if I don't earn their business and I help them save money, mission accomplished. Because they'll refer me to somebody else.
Absolutely. Yep. Anything else that you guys are working on, or just some newer things that you have as part of your portfolio of services or products?
We're really trying
about the app. Did you guys have a?
Yeah, we have an app that. So a lot of the softwares are integrated specifically with certain processes.
Right.
So in other words, when the client record comes up, it goes automatically to a terminal. They swipe the card and it marks it as paid in the software. So a lot of people use this outside of the software on a terminal, and they have to manually key in the total. And sometimes there's problems that they're scared to do that.
Right.
Because they're going to put the wrong number in.
Yep.
So we have a piece of software now where it picks up the invoice from Dentrix, Open Dental, any of the softwares, picks up the invoice total, shoots it out to our terminal. So all the client needs to do is swipe their card or dip or tap and pay. And then on their monitor, it'll mark it as paid. It shows as paid. All they have to do is manually type it in as paid in Dentrix or however as an offline payment. Mm-hmm. So that kind of takes away from the worry about putting the wrong number in.
Yeah.
It's maybe a 20-second extra step, and the CFO or the CPA has to look at it's going to be an offline payment for reconciliation. But if you're going to save 30, the average savings we have are about 30% a month.
Wow.
For dentists. So why not even give it a try?
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, if you're ever unhappy or it really doesn't work for you, cancel. No fees or penalties.
Sure.
We have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah. How can people learn more about you? Talk a little bit about the website, and certainly if they want to take advantage of what you guys are offering.
Well, one thing they can do, they can text dental, DENTAL, to 321-244-3031.
Okay.
That'll send them our brochure.
Okay.
And then if they want to contact us, one thing we do not do is high-pressure calls or say, why aren't you doing business with me?
Sure.
Our website is www.SelectSolutions.com.
Okay.
And you can call us 24/7. Call us at 2 in the morning. One of us is going to answer the phone and say, how can we help you?
You heard that. 2 in the morning. give Billy a call, and I have a strange suspicion that he will answer. He's just that type of guy. So, awesome. Some fun questions?
Sure, please.
All right. So you and I have gone through this before, so I had to get some new ones for you.
Okay.
How about your favorite sandwich?
Favorite sandwich? My goodness. If you're in Mexico, where I'm from, it's the torta. A torta, which is a really soft bun with breaded pork, and it's got some avocado, mayonnaise, because we put mayonnaise on everything, even on corn on the cob. It's a strange thing. In the United States, a Philly cheesesteak. You just can't go wrong with good prime rib on it.
Yeah.
Oh, delicious.
Sounds good. How about your favorite day of the week?
Favorite day of the week? Any day I wake up is the way I got to look at it. That's a good day.
So we've had, I like to keep track of these. We've had, Monday's popular, Friday's been popular, Sunday's been popular. Vanessa from Local Med today came up with Thursday, which I hadn't heard yet, and now yours today, which is any day.
Any day I wake up is a darn good day.
Any day that I wake up is a good day. I love that. How about when you were younger? You remember what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Well, my dad was an orthopedic surgeon. We also grew up on a ranch, so I was thinking, I'm going to be a surgeon or I'm going to be a cowboy.
Right.
When you're young, right?
Yeah.
Then you start thinking, I'm a little bit older, but was it 911 Emergency, that show used to be on? So I wanted to be a paramedic, stuff like that. But one thing my dad always taught me is what you really want to be in life is kind to people.
Yeah.
This may sound a little hokey, but
sure.
It's so easy to be nice to people.
Yeah.
And that helps you, and it's going to help people in life. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely. Well, Billy, I want to end on that. That was a great quote.
Thank you.
I love
Appreciate
that. And thank you so much for coming on again.
Thank
I know
you
you guys
so
are doing
much. You guys do a great job.
Some
Fantastic
great stuff.
Job.
And I know there's a lot of practices out there that certainly trust what you guys are doing. So, please go to Select Merchant Solutions, learn more about Billy and his team and what they're doing. And I think not only save money, because I know we talk about that a lot, but I think it's more than that. I think it's the service. And I also think just educating yourself on this very, very important part of the important part of your practice.
Perfect.
So, thanks, Billy.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Take care.
Every day.